I'm shorter than most, I guess. Good morning. I'm Carla Williams. I use the pronoun she, her, and I am the worship associate this morning. Whether this is your spiritual home or you're newly discovering this community, we're grateful to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community, seeking truth in love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to dedicate ourselves more fully to living our shared values. People of all ages are welcome and an important part of our faith community. We're blessed to have the children in the sanctuary for the first half of every service, and the entire service is for all ages about once a month. The nest in the front is our designated area for families with young children, and we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. Nursery care is available in room 11 every Sunday. As part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information posted on the screen that will help orient you to UCE and our service. A few announcements. The 2025-26 Pledge Drive is underway. Woohoo! If you haven't seen your pledge letter, please check your spam or junk folder for a constant contact email from the UCE admin at uceevanston.org address. If you still don't see it, send an email to pledgeinfo@uceevanston.org or stop by the Pledge Drive table during kinship time. There'll be folks there today and the next couple Sundays. Immediately following today's service is our Super Bowls lunch, don't have to be a football fan, and Pledge Drive kickoff event. You can shop for your favorite donated handmade bowl. We'll fill it with your choice of 10 to 12 delicious hot soups and chilies, although I thought I saw a cold soup back there, but whatever, for those into gazpacho. And you can enjoy some fabulous bread provided by the Super Bowls team. Proceeds will benefit the Hillside Pantry, Produce Mobile, and Connections for the Homeless. Let's join together and create more community and connection and celebrate the joy of generosity. Here to offer a few words of inspiration as we start our pledge drive are Laura and Josh Goodrich. There they are.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. All right, everybody. Oh, come here, Mike. Oh, my goodness. Good. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Week. Everyone excited for the big game tonight? Puppy Bowl 21? Puppy Bowl, right? It's just me. Okay.
For those of you who don't know us, my name is Laura, this is Josh, and our son, Court. Josh and I had two very different upbringings when it comes to church and religion. I was raised Presbyterian in an intimate and extremely close church that my parents actually helped start. The relationships that I formed with both friends from my youth group and adults who felt like family throughout my adolescence shaped who I am today. Seeing my parents and siblings also have those close connections that are still prevalent in our lives means the world to me. It still feels like home when walking in the doors on visits to my hometown, and I always wanted that for my future family.
My experience was somewhat unique. My sister and I came from a humble beginning, and we bounced around a bit. On Sunday mornings, my father would drop us off at different churches as we moved around. Now, when we asked our dad why he wouldn't come in, he said he got church out of the way when he was a kid. We came to find out that our dad was more of a fan of hanging out with his friends, Jim, Jack, Jose, and Mary Jane. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It was through visiting different congregations, though, my sister and I got to know how different churches, religions operate, and how they weren't really all that different. Love, unity, compassion were at the center of every congregation we visited. But it was the community within those congregations that my sister and I longed for. Community built on peace and love is why Laura and I joined UCE. Can I say a little more?
You want me to take it?
Let's go to Mom for a second.
Okay.
Let me take it home here, bud. It is imperative to us for our son to have a warm upbringing through this community and positive network of people here at UCE. We want him to know we are better and stronger together. We want him to know that everyone gets a seat at the table, and if there's not enough seats, we get some more. And, if it gets crowded around the table, we get a bigger table.
This weekend has been full of examples of the UCE community we joined for. Friday evening, we gathered with families of young children at the church to make pet toys to donate to local animal shelters, while the Mardi Gras party was going on in the sanctuary. The kids may or may not have crashed the dance floor one or two times, and being a part of the intergenerational good energy that happened that night was just really, really fun. And just last night, we went to a pizza and ice cream party that we bid on at the Serendipity auction. And I can't begin to explain how lovely it was. 5 families from church with children of different ages. The children spent the evening exploring and playing the night away while the parents had a chance to really connect. It was a weekend full of exactly what we joined for, within the walls of the church and beyond. We joined in search of love and community, but got so much more. New friendships, hope, warmth, encouragement, a moment of peace and calm in an otherwise hectic schedule.
Active listening, support, real conversations, giving back, and tangible paths for social justice.
Do you want to say anything?
Want to say anything, bud?
Okay. He had mentioned that he loves playing on the carpet, faith formation, picnics in the park, and probably his favorite part, snack table after church. Oh. We're excited to continue to grow lasting relationships at UCE built on peace and love.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. And now, let us settle into our shared time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, those joining us online are invited to gather your chalice as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
More
Whoa. The Unitarian of Church, sorry, let me start over. I knew I was going to do this once this morning. I even rehearsed saying, sorry, I'm going to start over. The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. This land was transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in the 1829 Treaty of Prairie du Chien, sold to white settlers, and then, after decades of violent encroachment and the defeat of a pan-Indian movement to keep white settlers out of the Great Lakes region, the Potawatomi community had no choice but to sell before they were forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. We also remember the ancestors of contemporary African Americans, the individuals, families, and networks of Black people who built up our country's culture and economy, which was a role forced on them originally by enslavement. We are indebted to their labor and unwilling sacrifice, and acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations still felt and witnessed today. These acknowledgments are one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to incorporate these acknowledgments into our lives and turn our thoughts into actions. Please join in our words on shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. The Pledge Drive team, any of you who are here, please, brought the flowers in recognition of the generosity of UCE members as they light our chalice. Thank you, thank you. Symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying the words on the screen and in the order of service. We light this chalice to call to mind what this world needs more of: more love, more connection, more inclusion, more kindness, more understanding, more joy, and more justice. Fire of commitment, guide us in our search to find and create these. Thank you. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining us online to greet each other in the chat, and those gathered in the sanctuary to turn to one another briefly, to say good morning, trying to greet someone who is new to you.
Please stay after the service for our lunch if you're able, and continue your conversations. And if you're new to UCE, please stop by the table, the welcome table with the red tablecloth, to find out more information about our community. Our opening hymn is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide Well, good morning. Good morning. If you might hold me my prop. Oh, what a beautiful Sunday. Such good energy this morning. So this morning, we are going to be recognizing a special group of people, young people, and yes, young people. Faith formation is an endeavor that each of us are taking part in every day, whether or not we are aware of it. You may have heard me preach last spring about how everything we do here at UCE is faith formation. And I'm not going to give you a quiz, so you're okay for now. Rather, I'll say that being in worship together this morning is just one way we are doing faith formation. So many aspects of our lives are connected to our faith formation, our finances and where we choose to spend our money, how we treat our friends, our foes, our education, and what we learn about the world, and perhaps even more importantly, what we learn about ourselves. And one aspect of this is our sexuality. Yes, you heard me. The current political climate certainly shows us how important sexuality education is, especially as justice work. Raising our children to know in their bones that kindness matters, being and doing better is possible, and that we can build community in ways that center love, justice, equity, and joyful celebration of people of all identities, experiences, and cultures. Giving them language and skills for countering racism and oppressions, such as homophobia and transphobia, and wherever we find it, is justice work, and is part of how we as a community, as parents, and as people who care about the future of our world, resist. For these reasons and many others, we have offered a special program called Our Whole Lives, fondly known as OWL. Yes. Nice sound effects. This is a program that is offered across the lifespan from kindergarten through 100. Yes, everyone. Our Whole Lives gives accurate information in life-saving and is life-giving, life-transforming work. It teaches young people and adults how to keep their bodies and their identities safe and healthy. OWL graduates often become the go-to people for their peers who are seeking non-shaming, accurate, and helpful information. And as Catherine Farmer-Loya said, it is ground zero for resistance. This year, we had an Our Whole Lives program for 4th through 6th grade young people from here at UCE, as well as Lake Street Church in Evanston. They explored topics such as puberty, reproduction, gender identity, and communicating one's values. We had a total of 19 young people who participated with Kendall and Christine Peters. Come on, Christine, don't be shy. They were our awesome facilitators, as well as we had one from Second Unitarian, Hugh Graham. So today we are going to recognize our young people who participated, so you all come on up if you're here. I see some of you. Don't be shy.
All right, as they all spread out, I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about how special this group of young people is. So as you can see, we only have a fraction of our folks standing up here. But I want to tell you a little bit about what our day-to-day in OWL is like. We start every single session with something called the question box. The question box is a place for our young people to put anonymous questions about anything from what we have talked about that day to anything that they would like to know about broadly. And we require everyone to write something or draw us a picture at the end of the last session. When Christine and Hugh and I were planning for our timing for our sessions, we would say, oh, you know, we can do our welcoming and question box. We can get that all done in, you know, like 15 minutes, right? This group of young people was so curious and had so many follow-up questions to their question box that it was very normal for us to spend 30 to 40 minutes answering our question box questions because they were so hungry for this knowledge, and they were so curious. They were ready to catch us on stuff if we weren't quite right, you know? The other thing I want to tell you all about this group of young people is they are so full of love and inclusion already. There were so many things and topics that we were teaching them about that they were already the experts on. And we did a lot of collaboration and talking among each other. And they were really the peer experts for each other. This group of young people gives me a lot of hope in a time when it is desperately needed. And I'm really proud of them.
So in recognition for their participation in our whole lives, they all got a little journal with an owl on it like this. And now today we are handing them an owl pin that you can or cannot pin on yourself. It's up to you. And thank you all for participating so willingly, for the most part. We had some moments, but for the most part, yeah, an awesome group. And of course, awesome facilitators. What can we say? So, good job.
Talk about a joy. Thank you. We settle now into our time of joys and sorrows that we share with one another in community. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like me to speak aloud from the pulpit, you can write it in this book or send it to me directly or fill out the form found on the homepage of our website. We listen to these with tenderness and respect for one another, so we settle our minds and bodies by taking in a deep breath together. Let's do that now. And let it out. These are the joys and sorrows that have been shared for today. Harry Hirsch shared that Zeal Brock celebrated her 90th birthday yesterday with friends and family. Wonderful. Happy birthday, Zeal. Amazing. Stephen Fisher shares that early yesterday morning, his mother, Betty Fisher, died peacefully at age 88. Family was with her, which is a blessing. And Betty and Steve's late father, Al, were active members of the Unitarian Church of Hinsdale since 1963. Holding you in love, Stephen. From Janelle Britton, it is with huge gratitude that she thanks so many church members for nurturing her through this week since she broke her leg last Saturday night. She said, from many hospital visits, flowers, yummy cookies, to emails, texts, cards, and calls, as well as those who are helping her set up her house when she returns home, hopefully this Thursday. She has never received so much love. Tears of joy are in her eyes. From Laura Etchen, a special thanks to our UCE friends for their love and support this past week when Laura underwent robotic endoscopic robotic endoscopic cardiac valve repair at the University of Chicago. We were never alone for a moment, surrounded by your constant love and caring. Jean, Ann, and Barbara cared for our 20-year-old black cat, Anakin, and we are all home together again and on the road to recovery. From Joan Retzloff, last Sunday, her sister-in-law passed away after a long period of decline. She was with my sister for over 65 years. And because of their shared love for animals, they established what is now the largest Humane Society wildlife refuge in Indiana on their property. She had a long and full life traveling the world, teaching human development at Purdue, tending a very large garden, and baking fabulous bread to our great delight. Our family loved her dearly because of her sweet nature and enduring patience with us all. We will miss her. And finally, a sorrow submitted anonymously, which I think echoes in many of our hearts for these unsettling social, political times. Seems like turning the other cheek is just getting us hit again, harder. I fear what's next. My love has all but run out and anger has started to fill the void. Is love right now? Should it be put on a shelf for some future date? Whoever you are, I hear you. I feel you. You are not alone. Sharing these concerns of the heart is part of the practice of beloved community, and so we light candles together to honor some of the things that are on our hearts that might be too difficult to say aloud. So I invite you now to come forward to one of the tables, either this at the front or one of the side tables, whichever is closest to you, to light a candle if you are so moved. And if you need a candle brought to you, please raise your hand. For these joys, we give our thanks. For these sorrows, we give our love. I'm going to invite you to join me in a responsive prayer with the words, "No one is outside the circle of love." We know that hurt moves through the world, perpetrated by inaction and action and indifference. Our values call us to live in the reality of the heartbreak of our world, remembering that, say it with me, no one is outside the circle of love. We who are Unitarian Universalists not only affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we also affirm the inherent wholeness of every being, despite apparent brokenness. No one is outside the circle of love. We know that things break or break down, promises, friendships, sobriety, hope, communication. This breaking happens because our human hearts and our very institutions are frail and imperfect. We make mistakes. Life is messy. But no one is outside the circle of love. With compassion as our guide, we seek the well-being of all people. We seek to dismantle systems of oppression that undermine our collective humanity. We believe that we're here to guide one another toward love, because no one is outside the circle of love. No matter how fractured we are or once were, we can make whole people of ourselves. We are whole at our core because of the great, unnameable, sometimes inconceivable love in which we live. No one is outside the circle of love. Please join in our responsive hymn, number 95, "There Is More Love Somewhere," an African-American spiritual, a song of resistance, born in the time of enslavement, set to a tune named after the South African activist who died for his values and his beliefs, Stephen Biko. There is more love somewhere.
There is
Sorry, that one gets me every time. As we say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Community Renewal Society, a faith-based community organizing and public policy organization that works with congregations in and around Chicago to address issues of racism and poverty. You may text to give, mail in a check, put cash in the collection bowls, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. The ushers will now come forward to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
This reading was the opening reading offered by Reverend Nancy McDonald Ladd at the Sunday service of our UUA General Assembly in June 2016. Still prophetic and powerful in the midst of a second wave of hate and division. We will rise above, we must rise above. She said then, "We gather in community every Sunday in a state of conflict for our very souls, a state both expansively hopeful and restrictively confined. We are hopeful that we might rise to meet a new day for those who seek and who serve the Spirit, hopeful that each and every one of us might encounter the sacred within song and beyond every human soul, and hopeful that such an encounter might work through us to topple the idolatries of our age. And yet we also gather as people who are not yet free, a people confined, unfree, contained. We are confined, unfree, contained, because in this culture of division, built upon the pain of the people at the margins, even the decent people, hold our love too tightly, putting it in boxes, prefacing it with qualifications. I will love you if, I will see you if, I will bear the truth of my soul alongside you if and only if you agree with me, you look like me, you stand like me, you think like me, you act like me, you sing like me, you wear your gender on your sleeve and produce it upon demand. I will love you and will meet you in the sanctuary of our hearts if and only if you give me evidence of your good liberal values. If and only if you never fail to speak the language of the movement and never weep upon a street corner out of grief for your sheer inadequacy and the vastness of the struggle that you cannot even name. We are imprisoned by these ifs and these only ifs. We are confined by the smallness of our loving, even as our souls remind us that we can only get free if we all get free together. And so today, as we intersect in honest work, let our hopefulness mingle with our conviction. Let our willingness to love beyond our expectations or experience break down our long-held barriers. Let our willingness to be honest about the hardest questions open us to new truths. May there truly be more love, with no labels and no binary and no preface and no qualification and no arithmetic and no limit. May there be more love to liberate us all, and may we keep on today and every day until we find it and share it inch by precious inch with one another and the world.
Afraid
Thank you, choir. That song came to us from Flamey Grant, who performed it at our Evanston Interfaith Family Pride event this last June, the first ever in Evanston. Coming up again this June 8th. Mark your calendars. We hope to get Flamey Grant back, and she graciously allowed us to sing this song, so I'm so grateful. Thank you for your beautiful rendition. So I've been reading a lot about conspiracy theories lately. No reason. A friend gave me a little book titled The Psychology of Conspiracy Theories by a Dutch professor of social and organizational psychology. And the book refutes the common misperception that conspiracy theories are a modern phenomenon. They've actually always existed. Human beings have always reacted to fear and uncertainty to make sense of the bad things that happen by creating sometimes elaborate and irrational stories. And there are real conspiracies, truly nefarious plots designed by people in power to cause harm for their own personal gain. Can anyone think of any examples? Though misinformation and conspiracy theories are part of the problem, not all conspiracy theories are far-fetched or wrong. Doubt, suspicion, and critical inquiry are a necessary part of civic engagement and resistance. We know that. We're Unitarian Universalists. And yet, conspiracy theories can take people down some truly wild and bizarre rabbit holes to forming very harmful conclusions. When doubts and suspicion calcify into anger, get manipulated by fear, or are driven by hatred of the other, you end up with folks who are divorced from reality and dangerous. You end up with people buying into conspiracy theories that turn vulnerable people into the enemy to be destroyed. We're never our best selves when we're reacting with fear and anger, cut off from relationships of accountability or our own integrity. Anger and fear are understandable in times like these, and our fears and anger are being played against each other. As an antidote, we need caring communities such as ours to help us hold onto our ideals and values with courage and conviction, while also practicing humility, self-reflection, and an ability to recognize the humanity in those we perceive as our enemies, lest our ideologies turn into irrational conspiracy theories of our own. In trying to understand how kind and smart people can fall for the harmful nonsense of so many conspiracy theories, I came across a manufactured conspiracy theory I've mentioned before: birds aren't real. Peter McIndoe, a performance artist and filmmaker, created a fake conspiracy movement in 2018 and played the leader of it, claiming the government killed all the birds, and replaced them with bird-shaped surveillance drones. The goal of this manufactured movement was to see how easily it could convince the media and the public of its legitimacy. He got thousands of people to protest Twitter and NBC for their bird logos. In conducting this experiment, which went on for years, Peter McIndoe had hundreds of interactions with people who thought he was a true conspiracy theorist, people who told him he was stupid and crazy, that he was the problem and that he needed to be eliminated. In those moments, during those vitriolic interactions, even though he knew he was playing a character and that birds were in fact real, he felt judged and othered by those who confronted him in such hateful ways. That approach, he discovered, did nothing to open his mind or his heart, nothing to persuade him of the irrationality of his theory. In fact, it moved him to feel more attached to it, more defensive, more lonely. Made him want to find belonging, which is exactly what happens to irrational conspiracy theorists. They latch onto something that helps them explain what feels frightening and unfathomably wrong, and to build community around the defense of that ideology. He asked in his TED Talk, if our goal, is to live in a shared reality with our neighbors, What if our current approach isn't bringing us any closer to that? What if we're pushing conspiracy theorists further away from the truth with scorn and ridicule? He concluded his talk by suggesting that addressing loneliness and isolation with empathy rather than scorn might be part of the answer. We all want to believe in something. We all want to belong. He suggests we direct our energy toward the crisis of belonging, and then maybe we'll understand the crisis of belief. What does feel different in this moment is that conspiracy theorists aren't on the fringes. They're the regime in power, peddling in conspiracy theories that cause deep harm to all of us, especially those on the margins. Many of us in this room feel threatened, judged and othered, or have loved ones who are being scapegoated in dangerous ways. Personally, I feel violent and hateful when I hear the hate directed at my children. But I know that hate cannot drive out hate. I truly believe that only love can do that. And I'm not talking about a sentimental and anemic love, but love born in communities of care and accountability, rooted in justice and liberation like this community. It's the kind of love that expands rather than constricts. It expands our hearts and our minds to hold more love and more possibility of what we can be with and for each other. The word conspiracy, in fact, comes from the Latin root words to breathe together. What if we conspired together to expand rather than contract who belongs? What if we practiced breathing together more love into the world, more understanding, connection, and inclusion as a response to the fear and hate mongering, rather than react to the attacks on all we hold dear with more vitriol? What if we practiced our sacred values more actively, more boldly, more loudly, and courageously? This month's Soul Matters theme is liberating love through the practice of inclusion, and right now diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts across the country are being shuttered. The reason is because the people who have stolen power feel threatened. Their power is so tenuous and weak. They must further inhibit those who are working to build collective and mutual power. The only way they can hold on to their illusory and abusive power is to demand uniformity, demand injustice, and narrow-mindedness. Alternatively, the practice of inclusion requires us to know and believe that, in the words of Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto, all of us need all of us to make it. All of us need all of us to make it. We are not going to get through this current assault on our values by succumbing to the idea that we, the people, are separated and opposed. We need to muster our strength and encourage one another to resist hate, despair, and isolationism. As Audre Lorde, civil rights activist, poet, and philosopher, said, the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. An empire built on lies, hate, and fear of the other will not be undone with the same weapons. It must be broken down with truth, compassion, and courage. We need to wield the tools powered by our values, the tools of love, accountability, honesty, inclusion, equity, pluralism, and generosity. And we need all of us to bring our whole selves to the fight. We need all of who you are, your gifts and your struggles, your questions and your needs. We need your sorrow and your grief, your outrage and your exhaustion. We need your wonder, your curiosity, your empathy, your longing, your courage. All of us together sharing who we are, the expertise of our own lives to contribute to bringing more hope, joy, justice, strength, commitment, and care into this longing and hurting world. I know there's a lot of pain and grief in this room right now. I know there's a lot of fear and outrage. We need to hold that fear and outrage and grief with and for each other. And then, what if after we hold vigil for each other's pain, we can use it to build our empathy for those outside the circle of belonging, to recognize the fear, pain, and loneliness and isolation underneath that hate? What if we could hold our own pain and feel more loving, knowing we're strong enough to not let another's hatefulness overtake us? Many of us are asking ourselves what we can be doing in the midst of this madness. Should we be marching, protesting, calling our legislators, writing postcards, attending Know Your Rights trainings? Yes, I say yes to all of it. I think we need to encourage each other to stay in the struggle in whatever ways we can. And that might mean simply showing up to work, to do the work you have trained and dedicated yourselves to do. It may be tutoring a kid or singing at a senior center, or it may be making sure you get enough rest, that you're finding joy and beauty wherever you are and with the people around you. Those are acts of resistance too. And I think our most important act of defiance right now is to keep holding on to our values and living them as out loud and courageously as we can. That means continuing to practice diversity, equity, and inclusion. That means having hard conversations with family members whose views you don't understand, not to accept or condone those views, but to lovingly and accountably challenge them. I want to be clear, practicing inclusion doesn't mean we accept and allow all behaviors, actions, or words. Inclusion doesn't mean we let ICE into this sacred space unchallenged. We won't. Inclusion means we live into our knowing that every person is worthy of love. No one is illegal or alien. It means everyone is worthy of love, even if their actions are abhorrent and have no place here. Love sometimes looks like strong boundaries. Love sometimes means saying, I know the hatefulness of your actions is not the whole of who you are. I pray for you to discover that about yourself and to let that discovery transform you. And when and if it does, I hope we can come together to make an even more expansive community. That's true inclusion. That's expanding the circle of belonging ever wider. It's not giving up on love or each other. Love and radical inclusion means saying sometimes, I know you can do better, and I'm going to keep living my life as if we can all do better. And we do so much better together. We are so much more of who we want to be when we strive together. Most of you should have received that letter in the email that Carla talked about this week, about the pledge drive. Now, you probably were wondering, how was I going to get from conspiracy theories to the pledge drive? For those of you keeping track, let's not do it. If you didn't get it, please do let us know. The theme for our pledge drive is There Is More. And certainly these last 2 weeks or 3 weeks have all felt like I can't take too much more. But this pledge drive is not about doing more or pledging more, though we do need your financial support to make this place run and to pay our staff equitably. We need your financial support so we can do all the work we need to do together, to bolster our spirits, to maintain our building, and use our collective resources to live our values more fully. All of that is true, and I hope that you commit to supporting our mission of nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. And I hope it brings you joy, and I hope it makes you feel stronger, a stronger sense of belonging and connection. And just to give you a little encouragement, Adam, can you put that next slide up? We're already at 60% of our goal, which is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And I know we'll get the rest of the way there in the next few weeks. I just know it. But what this pledge drive is really about, the reason we chose the theme, There Is More, is because this world really needs more of some things which we can only contribute together. Things like the visions we've articulated and shared as a community, practicing beloved community, supporting spiritual growth and well-being, committing to anti-racism and anti-oppression, and engaging in our interconnected world. And recently, Dr. Emma, our ministerial intern, sat down with our staff members to estimate how much time they spend, throughout their work week dedicated to these 4 visions. As you can imagine, it's pretty hard to estimate these kinds of things, but gives you an idea that we spend about 40% of our time on beloved community, 23% on spiritual growth, 21% on interconnected engagement, and 18% on anti-racism and anti-oppression. We do this work with all of you. Together in these times of desperate need, we expand into the world more love, connection, and understanding through covenant groups and caring small group ministry. We expand into the world more courage and compassion through our immigrant and refugee rights groups, supporting families seeking safety and advocating for affordable housing. We bring more hope into the world through our solar panels, which are going to be going up soon, which will help us achieve zero emissions and help us be a model for others to commit to doing the same. We bring more generosity and curiosity into the world with our shared plate, our worship services, our faith formation, more openness and acceptance and inclusion and listening through our meeting our interfaith neighbors classes, book groups, and affinity groups. And conversations that we've been having about what this community helps bring more of into the world. There were some ideas that were shared. Adam, can you put the next one on? We want more connection, more understanding, more outreach, more compassion and love. What do you want to create more of? Shout it out. What do you want more of? What does the world need more of? Compassion. Joy. Peace. Acceptance. Rest. Hope. Understanding. Collaboration. Love, fun, all these things. We are bringing these things into the world together, and together we will bring even more. And with our mutual support and care for one another, we will get through this frightening and dispiriting time. In moments like these, when there are real threats to our values and our lives, it is understandable to want to close ranks, to draw a circle to keep us in and them out. But I urge us to resist that impulse to exclude. Instead, I invite us to continue to cultivate a willingness to open our hearts, to be transformed by the strength of our shared values centered around liberating love. May we bring more people into this ever-expanding circle of trust and care, and together may we keep on until we find more love, more joy, more hope, and more peace. Amen, and blessed be.
As we extinguish the chalice, and I'll invite the pledge drive team to come forward again, please join in saying the words on the screen by the Reverend Elizabeth Zell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 168, One More Step.
beloveds, let's keep on until we find and co-create more love to liberate us all, and may we keep on today and every day until we grow it and share it with one another and all the world. But before we scatter, let me share some helpful information for our Super Bowl's lunch, which we're about to embark upon. We will need some folks to help clear the space to set up tables in the back, so if you're an able-bodied person able to do that, you can meet by the tables that are over there to help set those up and move the chairs. While that's happening, families with young children and folks with mobility issues, if you're staying for our lunch, please line up right over here by the east wall candle table. And if you would like to stay and peruse the bowls, you can select a bowl. It's I guess $10 a bowl. If you've got a family, you can pay $20, get 2 bowls and feed your whole family. And once you've picked your bowls, head to the payment table, which is going to be here. And then with your lunch ticket in your bowl, you can head to the lunch line along the west wall. So again, let's let families and people with mobility issues kind of go first. But let's eat, let's enjoy, let's celebrate.